We see them nearly every day, but seldom do we know their stories. On the surface, they're tired, broken down old buildings whose usefulness has long since passed. But look closer. Peer into the shattered glass. Walk the weed-grown pathways. Feel the decayed wood. You begin to get a sense of history, a sense of place. Every day, more and more of these sites vanish from the landscape. Without them, the story of Colorado's past becomes incomplete. Saving those that remain is crucial to preserving our state's rich history. These are Colorado's most endangered places. Hello, and welcome to Colorado's most endangered places. I'm Dave Aguilera. If these walls could talk, oh, the stories they could tell. They've witnessed the birth of the City Beautiful movement here in Denver under Mayor Spear in the early 1900s. They've seen countless festivals. They've also been the backdrop to many protests over the years. They're walls that say history happened here. Not all history is so obvious or even well preserved. And those walls also have stories to tell. That's where Colorado Preservation Incorporated comes in. CPI is a nonprofit donor-supported organization which specializes in connecting community groups with resources and funding needed to preserve their local history. Since 1998, CPI's Endangered Places program has shown a spotlight on sites across the state which stand threatened by time, neglect, or development. Every year, CPI solicits nominations for their Colorado's Most Endangered Places list from individuals and groups looking to preserve the stories of their local communities. For the next half hour, we're going to share the stories told by the 4 sites on this year's Most Endangered Places list. In any community, there has to be a place for community leaders and government to meet and get things done. Here in Denver, it's the City and County building. But in small towns, City Hall is seldom quite so grand. In the mountain community of Red Cliff, its Old Town Hall has almost been forgotten.
It was really nice.
Diana Cisneros has called the small mountain town of Red Cliff home for all of her life.
There was a drugstore right here. Walk in there and you could smell that cigar smoke.
Nestled in the mountains between Leadville and Minturn, Red Cliff has had to reinvent itself as the years pass by.
Mining was the source of income for all the people working here when I was young.
As mining activity decreased, other opportunities opened up.
Dad owned that liquor store.
During World War II, Camp Hale provided an ample customer base.
They'd come in and they'd bought so much liquor.
Camp Hale closed when the war ended, but the soldiers kept their skis and a new industry was born.
When Vail came in, so this became kind of a bedroom community for a lot of young people.
I play in this valley.
People like Bob Oppenheimer.
Not a lot of frou-frou. And that's why most people that are attracted to this place are here. It feels authentic.
That authentic feel reflected in one building in particular.
Likely it's the oldest building in town, but I wondered about the historical significance of it.
Yes, it did serve as the town hall for a while, one of its many purposes, but originally,
This was the firehouse.
whatever the town needed, this building adapted.
One of 2 of the hose carts.
For the past 40 years, storage.
Uphill in every direction on the floor.
Age and neglect have taken their toll.
See, here's the original door.
The details on the building tell the story of those who built it.
Because those are the second windows that this building has had. And the first ones were bigger, single pane, but they had an arched header. It was the Italian influence of the carpenters.
The town would like to preserve those stories by reviving the old town hall.
So there's a lot of history right here in this town in regards to, actual history stories, but not much to show for it.
Small town realities pose the biggest hurdle.
As much as this is very important and nobody's opposed to it, it's also continues to kind of be pushed down on the priority list.
Town leaders worry it can't be pushed back much further.
How many more winters does this building really have?
Gotta have a creaky door in an old building.
As Red Cliff works to maintain its unique mountain town identity, those here want to see the town hall tell the story of resilience and adaptability.
Growth is inevitable. We want it to happen, but it's got to be in honor of who we are now.
The bell still rings out clearly over the town.
That's still pretty cool.
For some, it stirs memories.
So we had to be in by 8 every night, and they would sound the curfew.
For others, it's a call to action.
You know, I guess it's maybe grasping onto that history and what can we preserve? What do we need to do so that it doesn't just completely disappear and we are just a bunch of houses in the middle of the mountains.
When we return, we'll see how downtown revitalization plays into historic preservation. And what does Indiana Jones have to do with Colorado history? We'll explain. Welcome back to Colorado's Most Endangered Places. You can't have a conversation about downtown revitalization in Denver without mentioning Larimer Square. This historic block was Denver's first Main Street. This is where you wanted to be in the 1860s. Over the decades, the business center moved further north to 16th Street and Larimer Square fell on hard times. In the 1960s, it was set to be demolished as part of a broad urban renewal plan. And it would have been had it not been for the efforts of a young preservationist named Dana Crawford. She saw the value of historic places and fought to save this block from the wrecking ball. It worked, and Larimer Square would serve as a blueprint for similar preservation efforts nationwide. Crawford would go on to make a lifelong career of historic preservation right here in Denver. Sadly, Dana Crawford passed away in January, but her enthusiasm and legacy continue to inspire preservation efforts in downtowns across the nation, such as with our next site. Colorado's Eastern Plains towns are beginning to feel the effects of Denver's housing crunch. As more people start moving further and further away from the big city, one small business is hoping to capitalize on that, to restore the old Neural building in Brush. The sounds of a friendly game of pool fill the room at the Corral Bar in Brush.
There was an apartment that had them get that out and make that into the game room.
That was one of many renovations bar owner Charlotte Osborne made when she purchased the building in 2002.
Wanted to clean it up and make it a place for decent, regular, people to come into.
She says she didn't really know what she was getting into.
If I would have known what it was going to cost to get it done, I would have never.
She didn't know the building's history either.
This was only the 4th building built in the city of Brush.
David Lawrence retired to Brush and found himself drawn to this place.
The land was acquired by a gentleman named Billy Neural by winning a poker game.
Neural opened a mercantile in this building. It's also housed a bank, clothing store, post office, and opera house.
We're upstairs in the old Deskey Hotel portion of the building.
In 1920, Nathan Deskey purchased the building and renovated the second floor to become the Deskey Hotel. Railroad crews stopping in Brush overnight provided a steady pool of customers. Even the original Deskey Hotel sign has a unique history.
Number one, it's a porcelain sign, very rare. Number two, it's a federal sign, very rare.
The Federal Sign Company was the first electric sign company in the U.S.
And so these are spectacular because they were one of the first electric signs.
This one was made in 1928.
A lot of municipalities would allow these signs to be erected, which were quite large, under the condition that they lit the sidewalk as well. It's estimated that there might be 12 to 20 of these that are in public view.
Restoring that sign is on Osborne's to-do list.
Get it rewired and new bulbs in it and get it put back up there.
There's a lot on that to-do list.
The bricks in the back, they're coming out. The roof needs to be done because the roof and the wall is coming apart.
Look at how high these ceilings are.
Ultimately, Charlotte would like to refurbish the upstairs to be an operating hotel once again.
And people stop all the time wanting to know if there's a room because that old sign out on in the front, you know, it says the hotel. And I said, well, I don't think you really want to be up there.
There is a need for lodging in that area.
This could be a tourist attraction. This would be a historic hotel building, and it would be a real experience.
Osborne's Corral Bar doesn't begin to bring in the money necessary to put that plan into action. Those close to the building hope the building's history draws outside support.
People that have connections that we may not even realize.
For Osborne, the Corral Bar is her life.
This is where my coffee pot is. This is where my television is. If I didn't have this, I don't know what I would do. You know, the building's been here, like I say, 133 years. And I would really like to see the building still be here, even when I'm gone.
Nothing says historic like the house of someone famous. Denver socialite Margaret Molly Brown moved into this house in 1894 and lived here until her death in 1932. The house remained privately owned until 1970, when its owner decided that the historic house needed to be preserved for the enjoyment of the public. Molly Brown was a socialite who became a pop culture icon. But what happens when the pop culture icon is a fictional character? In the San Luis Valley town of Antonito, a small adobe house has the unique honor of playing home to a rather famous whip-wielding archaeologist. And the home's owner hopes to use that fictitious fame to teach the real history of the San Luis Valley.
So we'll make this room exactly how she wants it.
Innkeeper Ryan Akers prepares a room at the Indiana Jones bed and breakfast. You can't miss the theme here. Posters and memorabilia adorn every wall.
So many people that come are such big fans of the series.
Each guest room has a copy of The Last Crusade.
You finally make it here, you want to be able to at least come in and take some pictures.
There's a reason for this.
Dad! I love that mailbox.
The house young Indiana Jones grew up in sits in Antonito, Colorado.
When I pulled up in my car to the front of the house, I like screeched. I was like, oh my God, yes, young Indy's house.
Sabra Young came to work as an innkeeper here in 2016.
And I bought it in April of 2017. And I'm still here because I'm a big nerd.
Paramount filmed other scenes for the movie on the nearby Cumbres and Toltec Railroad, so it made sense to keep production crews in the area for young Indy's house.
This was kind of the style that they were looking for to fit the time period of the movie.
The house was being rented at the time. The tenants agreed to move to a nearby hotel for a few weeks.
They came in, they remodeled the house, they did their filming, and Bill actually split the money with his renters.
Crews filmed outside and in.
Is that the glass is still there. They just covered it up. And you can see right here is where they wrote for the movie what size of panel to cut. So this was Henry Sr.'s study. Young Indy runs in. You can see the bookcases around the doors. He's writing and he tells them to count to 10 in Greek.
Wait. It was a big deal. A lot of people from town were over here.
Larry Atencio was a kid himself when crews filmed the movie.
When the big Hollywood production came to town, so a lot of people kind of just stood around just wanting to watch and see what was going on. A lot of people, it was nice seeing what they see in movies.
This is Richard Young.
Sabra uses the lure of the movie history to teach guests about the local history.
There's so much history here with the railroad and how it was settled, originally part of Mexico. One of the first things I did when I started as an innkeeper was I started researching everything in the area that there was to do, the history.
In the process, she learned the true origins of Indy's boyhood home.
It is also one of the first houses in Antonito.
William Carroll built the house in 1888. He made his money selling horses to miners looking to return home after the gold rush ended.
A lot of people find it interesting that it is an adobe house because they're used to seeing the Southwest style of adobe, and it's literally cow manure, straw, and mud. It's the original adobe.
Also, the original foundation. And therein lies the problem.
This house is like 140 years old. The foundation is pretty bad. The center line of the house is slowly starting to curve. I can't open any window downstairs. They're all painted or rotted shut.
Fixing the foundation is key. Once that is stabilized, the windows and walls can be addressed.
It's not unsafe, just so people know that, but it is concerning.
The hope is to keep the house open for guests long into the future. An attraction residents say is much needed in Antonito.
Making sure that the building stays put and stays erect and stays in business, I think, is really helpful for this community.
Combining the pop culture with my love of Indiana Jones and movies in general adds to other people's excitement. It's just so cool. And it's not just because of the movie.
When we come back, we head to Grenada, Colorado, where a former Japanese internment camp has become the National Park Service's newest site. But the Amachi National Monument tells only part of the story. The rest of the story comes from two old vacant storefronts. Welcome back. We're at the Emerson School. It was built in 1885. Designed by Colorado's first master architect, Robert Rochlaub, it served as a school until 1979. In 2010, the building was donated to the National Trust, who converted it to office space and now houses Colorado Preservation Incorporated. We're here with Jennifer Orrego-Charles, the Executive Director of CPI. Hi, Jennifer.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, let's start off the bat with how a group can get nominated to become an endangered place.
Sure. Well, we take nominations throughout the year. So if you go to our website, coloradopreservation.org, you'll see a lot of information on the Endangered Places program. But really, we wanted this process to come from the public, right? It's not our statewide organization coming in and telling a community what you have to save. So they let us know, there's a historically significant but threatened building in my community that's just too important to be lost. So you kind of fill out some information, tell us a little bit about the building, the project, who are the supporters behind it. And then once it's submitted to us, we go through a pretty lengthy evaluation process where we take a look, what are the needs? How can our organization help if it's listed?
When a site does get listed, then what do you offer them? What do you do for them?
So we kind of take a broad approach. So the first step is essentially us meeting with you and kind of talking through, how we can help. But once you're kind of in the Endangered Places CPI family, we offer a lot of services to you at no cost. So we would come in, we could do grant writing, whatever those needs might be.
There's no timeline for a site to gain historical significance. Sites like Mesa Verde are thousands of years old. And on the other hand, places like Sand Creek gained infamy in a matter of hours. Our last site has sat on a street in Grenada for decades in relative obscurity. But for 3 short years, these two buildings stood testament to resilience in the face of conflict, mistrust, and discrimination.
And it used to be a parts store back then.
John Escobel's parents purchased this brick building in Grenada, Colorado in the mid-1980s.
And we just gutted it out and we can open a pool hall in there.
His father got sick and those plans stopped. The building, known as Newman's Drug Store, has sat vacant ever since.
My in-laws bought it back in 2016.
Next door at what's called the Fish Market, a similar story.
They saw it as an opportunity.
Those opportunities have not materialized for Vanessa Mejia's family either.
There's not much people, so running a business here would be kind of hard.
It wasn't always this way. These two buildings once anchored a vibrant economy. But it was an economy tied to a dark chapter in American history.
Japanese American incarceration is is a difficult story. They're forced out of the American West, the coastal states. They're moved inland, and that's done without legal proceedings, without being accused of crime.
Over 7,500 internees found themselves at a camp called Amachi.
That was one of the 10 big World War II Japanese-American incarceration camps that's next to a town. Grenada and the camp are walking distance.
You can see the camp water tower from town. That fostered a relationship which did not exist at any other camp.
There was a regular exchange of people.
Mitch Homa's family was interned at Amachi.
Townspeople would come to Amachi for like sporting events, to go shopping at the co-op, to see movies at Amachi. And of course, the Amachi people would go to town to go shopping at the Newman's drugstore and the Grenada Fish Market.
Edward Newman moved his drugstore into the 2-story brick building when he learned the camp was being built.
He knew there would be a lot of people there and that they would need things.
Bonnie Clark has studied the relationship between Amachi and Grenada for the past 20 years.
He got this entire warehouse of sake and sold it out of the back at the drugstore. They were an important tie to your Japanese identity, especially when you needed to celebrate special events.
The fish market opened in 1943, run by 2 internees who had been released from the camp.
You could get, traditional Japanese noodles. You could get things like soy sauce.
And as the name would imply, fish.
And one of those foods is abalone,
a shellfish traditionally eaten at celebrations.
Think about not being able to have a turkey at Thanksgiving, to not being able to have abalone at New Year's it just takes away from the whole experience.
The markets offered a lifeline to the internees.
A sense of normalcy, right? That I can go to a store that caters to me and people from my background in this town, in this place that I didn't choose to be.
After the war ended, both businesses moved to Denver, where they continued successfully for many years, leaving the buildings behind.
While the buildings are outside of our boundary, they're part of the story.
In 2024, the National Park Service took over operations of the Amachi internment camp historic site.
Right now, we're cheerleaders. We see that those buildings have the capacity to really enhance the story that the park is telling.
The Park Service wants to help the building owners find outside partners with the resources for future restoration.
They need a purpose. A purpose will preserve them.
Saving an important part of the complete Amachi story.
The resiliency that incarcerees showed, through the fish market and many other stories they're inspiring. They're extraordinary.
Stories that inspire, stories that teach, stories that make us proud of our heritage, stories that teach us we can do better. That's why preservationists work so hard to keep historic sites around. It's so much more than just the walls themselves. Since 1998, Colorado Preservation has named 144 sites to the most endangered places list. Of those, 57 have been saved, and only 9 have been lost. For more information about these and other sites on the list, head to coloradopreservation.org. I'm Dave Aguilera. Thank you so much for watching.